Hi, everyone, and welcome to Digital Recruitment Speed to Lead is Key. If you were able to join us at our Gentum, great. Feel free to share this with your teams. If you were unable to join us, just didn't attend a Gentum or weren't able to attend our session, we thought it would be a great idea to re-record it so you could actually benefit from all the insights that were shared on this panel. So anyways, my name is Terri Sullivan, founder and CEO of Waypoint. Thank you all for joining. It is clear that the industry has and is seeing labor shortages, and over time, that need for talent is just going to increase. So we're in a time where HR and marketing really need to work closely together, not only to develop short-term fixes, but also to have a structured long-term strategy. And in that, we need to focus on that, right? We need to focus on more talent, not only capturing talent, but also retaining talent in order to help meet census in this industry. So the bottom line is that your competition, as well as other industries, are actually buying for these same potential candidates as well. So it's really important that you think of capturing candidates for your employment, similar to the way you think of capturing prospects for your communities. So that's why we named the session Digital Recruitment Speed to Lead is Key. So we need to think kind of that mindset where marketing meets HR and how that all works together. So let's jump in. I want to do the introductions first to the panels. So today we have on the senior living provider side, we have the marketing HR duo from Arrow Senior Living. We have Hollie Walker, VP of Marketing. She's been in marketing over 16 years. She's worked with Fortune 500 companies such as Nestle and Victoria's Secret. She's also owned her own marketing and design agency and has spent the last 3 years of her career, 3 years plus, in the senior living industry. So Hollie, thank you for joining us today.
Nice to be here.
Excellent. And then her duo and partner in HR, Amber Moore. She's the Regional Director of Human Resources at Arrow Senior Living. She's basically been in the senior living industry most of her career, almost 16 years, and the last 8 years in HR. So she'll have some incredible insights on the HR side. And Amber hails from Kansas City, Missouri. So welcome, Amber. So happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And then we have Arrow's digital marketing partner and an expert in the digital marketing and recruitment space, Bobby Youngs. Bobby is the founder and owner of CANOPY AdCo, or company. He's been in the industry or in digital marketing for over 20 years, the last 15 years owning his own agency, serving senior living and other segments. And he is from Charlotte, North Carolina. So Bobby, thanks for joining as well.
Thanks, Terri.
Awesome. All right, as I mentioned, I'm Terri Sullivan. My company offers a customized virtual sales assistant called the Navigator. We basically help fill your sales funnel, convert prospects into your sales funnel, as well as potential job applicants. And I'll be joining in on this session a little bit to give you some insights on how our tool has helped in that area as well. So as far as our objectives today, there really are 3 objectives that we're working on today. One is we want you to think about and learn how to connect and work hand in hand with your HR department to leverage your company website for more data-driven digital recruitment. So that's objective number 1. Number 2 is we really want you to walk away with best practices for digital marketing strategies to drive high-quality traffic for your careers and job applicant process. And then also give you tips and tricks on capturing prospective employees to help you fill that candidate pool, whether it's just tips that are general or that are in regard to your website and capturing people quickly. So those are our objectives today. So Amber, we discussed how important it is for HR and marketing to work together for long-term success. And so can you kick us off and walk us through how you and Hollie have worked together to implement a successful digital marketing strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So that, the relationship between HR and marketing is something that our company has definitely started fostering and noticed the need for. We, you always hear sales and marketing, like you mentioned, but it's more and more imperative that the, recruitment and marketing become part of that same team as well. And what we found too, our sales process and our recruitment process really are not that much different. It's about getting in front of leads quickly, fostering relationships, and getting them through the process. So really where we started was just kind of looking at where we were currently at on the HR side and where we wanted to go, and making sure that our marketing team was aligned and understood what that process was as well. So taking a look at, our website even, and seeing how is it, reaching out to applicants, and what message is it conveying to applicants, and what message is HR wanting to try to convey? What culture are we trying to communicate to applicants? And even just making sure that our marketing team understood or knew what the hiring process was, from that application to screening, to interview, to hire, making sure that marketing had a full understanding of that. And then once we kind of figured out who we all have it to play with. So on the recruiting side, or on the HR side, I should say, we have a whole recruiting team. So we have designated recruiters that help walk candidates through the application process. And so it was important for our marketing team to know what those individuals were responsible for, and then kind of what they're up against as far as, the current hiring market now. And then we kind of are really looking at where can we go from here. So we looked at where our website currently sat as far as how applicants could come in and apply, and how could we make that a more efficient process for our applicants, but also more engaging as well, because we want to get in front of them quickly. We want to make that an easy process for them, but we also want to engage them throughout that quick process. So, because we want to make things as efficient as possible. We get them in and we see how we can be efficient, and then if they're just sitting there and waiting, and no one's reaching out to them, then really that speed to lead falls off. So once we, kind of talked and put our heads together for a way of how we could get people in quickly, that's going to help my team turn around and then reach out to them quickly as well. So really, once we did that audit, then Hollie's team was able to turn around and help us build a really effective and unique marketing strategy that appealed to a lot of different applicants.
It's interesting because we did have one customer where we were working with, and they had not really fully gone through their application process and realized it was far more complicated than they had believed originally. So I think that's really a key piece.
Yes. Yeah. And when we did the panel originally, I think I'd asked the audience who all has applied to your website, and some people raised their hands and some people haven't, because it can be really eye-opening. You might think that you have a really efficient process, and you really don't. The majority of people are applying online, but we know that applicants fall off too after a number of clicks. So you really want to have it be a really quick process for them, but also engaging too, and catching their attention and setting yourself apart from your competitors.
Makes sense.
Well, and I think when Amber and I first started talking about our websites, the two of us had a debate, right? Whenever you're getting kind of two people from different perspectives. And I think we were debating how many clicks. And Amber was like, oh my goodness, it's, 5 or 4 clicks.
I was like, no, clicks, little clicks.
And I was like, but the first click takes you to, a page that tells you all about working at Arrow. And, she's like, well, what about the people that want to apply right away? So I think that's one of the things that, as you're working through this next phase that we kind of did together, which we call kind of spring cleaning, this is the kind of debate that you're having. You're looking in these areas and you're really trying to understand, what's best, and, where do you have excess waste, like extra clicks. We do this process at Arrow Senior Living called spring cleaning. Thus the title of the slide. We actually go in a corporate team with a lot of people from the home office, and the regional teams go in for each community and help spring clean their communities. And that means exactly what you think of spring cleaning, which is like, vacuuming making sure the baseboards are clean, but also checking, your time to service, and, what does that look like? And do you have the things in place to really optimize and get ready for the summer season? So I think when you're in those communities, you really are back in place with our why. You get to see residents understand the community and the employees that are at that community. You get to share that emotional connection with them and kind of ground you in just, why is everybody doing this? I think it also allows you an opportunity to get content. I think often you forget that these quick little 30 seconds of images of people working together, or resident testimonials or employee testimonials, you can do so much right now with your iPhone. So anytime you're out in the communities, you want to take that opportunity to look at your content, understand your applicants, look at where are you recruiting? Are you looking for nurses? Are you looking for night staff? Are you looking for people to help in dining? So you want to think about your different personas of applicants, just like you do when you're thinking about prospects. So making sure that you know who you're recruiting can really help, because you might make and create an ad that's very focused on nurses and nursing, or you might want to make an ad that is more universal. So knowing, what that community needs, and having that opportunity to really update your collateral kind of makes sure your house is in order and gets you ready to go into strategic planning, which is this next slide.
Yeah.
Where you're looking at what are those objectives that you uncovered and how do you put a plan together. And you'll see our Let's Flamingo ad. One of the things that happens in the spring and in the summer are job fairs, right? It's sunny outside and you're able to do job fairs. And so when you're thinking about your channels, do you have events? Are you working to kind of recruit an audience for an event? Or are you looking to kind of have a foundation in place that kind of keeps you always looking for students, for example, and kind of putting that net, if you will, in place for how you're doing that strategy. And I think it's interesting on the Let's Flamingo side, because for this campaign, it is really, we update this for the different seasons. And so we collaborate between HR and the leadership team and everyone on how we're determining this kind of theme. And this was really about kind of fun and summer and the socialization, if you will. And I will tell everyone the results, because I have some exciting news that I just found out this morning. And then that'll give Amber a chance to think about talking about the kind of job fair, the event itself, and how we kind of get ready for the theme. But we are about to have a job fair in St. Charles, Missouri.
Yeah, I'm here now at it, actually. So we're here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And we've been advertising in social for 3 weeks. We've got 20,000 people who have come across our ad. 4,000 people have clicked.
Wow.
Which is just crazy. And 16 people said they're coming to the event, or they're interested in the event. So that just shows you, one, how you can leverage that digital channel for an event. And we've been testing this in all sorts of different ways. And Bobby, who can tell you later that 1 week is not enough time, because we did that. And we got one person. So, knowing this kind of time and that 3 weeks is a lot more helpful, gets you ready for this job fair, and also making sure that your website is ready, when they click, that you have that ability for people to look around. So Amber, tell us about the job fair.
Yeah, well, and that's fantastic, because I believe 16 people is more than we even have openings right now. So between that, and we did other avenues of, obviously recruiting for the specific event as well. I mean, we did the old school recruiting route where we put up flyers. Those flyers have QR codes, obviously, so that it's still directing people to the website. So there's different avenues that we take for the advertising side, like you said, Holly, kind of keeping in mind age and demographics and different people that we're reaching out to. You know, a Gen Z person might respond a little bit differently to a digital ad, where someone else might want to come and see something more in person or paper. We do the, you know, the outreach with different schools and whatnot, but always driving them back to that website. And thinking in mind too that different applicants are in different spots within their applicant journey. You know, someone might be looking for a job and they want to start right now. Someone might be a little bit more curious. Like you said before, we had our back and forth. I'm like, let's just get people in and make that process easy. But some people do have questions and they want to kind of know who they're applying to before they apply. So giving yourself options, that's kind of something we've done with our website, is people can really easily, quickly apply. People can ask questions through a chat feature. And we've seen a lot of people come through from that. Actually, just recently, Terri, I've seen quite a few people come through Waypoint that I've been able to really quickly get in front of the recruiters.
Right.
Because like I mentioned before, you know, really at the end of the day, like whether someone applies through a chat feature, or someone applies through a job fair, or someone applies through just the website, we want to reach out to them as soon as possible. We already task our recruiters with reaching out to applicants within 24 hours, but we're trying to even cut that down. So having, you know, different tools in our belt to help the recruiters not only get applicants in, but then making it to where we can get them in front of those recruiters even faster. So they're not just having to only sort through, you know, job boards or whatnot to get resumes, has been super helpful for us. So, and we've also kept in mind with job fairs and with just, you know, recruitment marketing in general, our different communities. So this St. Charles location, the digital marketing has been super fantastic. And obviously we've had great results from it. And we've actually, before the job fair even started, we had people coming in. So that was kind of exciting to see. I'm excited to go back out there and see who else is here. But we do keep in mind, you know, our smaller communities, what can we do that's cost effective for them as well, but still bringing in applicants. So maybe that is, again, using those, we made little referral cards that have our digital marketing campaign mirrored in those referral cards, really, like the Let's Flamingo, and, you know, that we call them our You Matter cards. They've got little QR codes on them, but we do still go out and meet with people face to face and hand those out. So kind of, I guess, diversifying, using different avenues that can help us bring in people. We also, as we were doing all of this, so we have all of these different resources that we're working on the HR end. We're wanting to measure that success, and we've built really a really cool, what we call a dashboard that measures the data. So we can see, like Holly said, we can see what's coming through as far as what's working for us and what's not. We can see, are the recruiters, by using this tool, is it getting applicants in front of our recruiters faster? Is our recruiters speed to lead going down? Which we can see it is. So I've seen my recruiters drastically improve their speed to lead over the last few months, just from some of the tools we've implemented. And one of those tools that we use, actually, Terri, is Waypoint. So we use your guys' navigator tool to give the applicants those options to, you know, ask us questions or to schedule an interview. And it's been able to get some people right in front of our recruiters, and they can reach out just as soon as that information comes through.
There's some really cool nuggets in what you guys said, and I don't want to cut anybody off, but there are two things. You know, often when I think of how senior living is attracting prospects, it's really the salesperson and marketing's job is to help somebody see themselves living there, right? That the lifestyle is right for them. And it's really no different on the recruiting side. The why people should come and work for you. That's what you need to convey through this. I love that campaign with the flamingo. I mean, it's awesome, but it's about a feeling, right? And we had also discussed when we were down at Argentum, millennials, and how 88% of millennials really find it's important to connect with an organization that connects with their values. And then the other side of that stat was 86% of millennials that are no longer feel they connect with your value are more apt to leave and go somewhere else. So I thought those were interesting stats, and also an interesting parallel to when you're looking for prospects. I don't know if you guys have any comments on that, but as I was listening to you, I was like, wow, this really is very similar to our prospect. Where maybe when we were younger, we didn't have to sell ourselves. We had to sell ourselves. People didn't.
For sure.
Right.
For sure. I think it was interesting. You flipped back to the slide to see the ad. Yeah. And just this morning, we were spending a little bit of time, like really digging deep into this ad.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why the ad performed so well for us is what I'm going to call the blurry, just like our background, the kind of blurriness of the ad. Because what's great is now that you're watching it, and I'm going to have you guys really focus, have you seen the diversity in the images? That it's not just one type of person that we're showing in the images, and you have this ability to go kind of back and forth. So it's really funny. I would ask you, do you know how many employees were shown versus residents? It gets a little kind of interesting because you have that opportunity in animation, right, to appeal to a bigger audience. And it was super interesting because often they'll stop.
Yeah.
The scene at the very end says "Meals on Us," right? That one right there that I just said. So we were talking about, you had that kind of 4,000 people, right? That engaged. Many of them were probably seniors too. So, how do you make sure that you have an ad that goes for diversity, both in terms of age, but also in terms of ethnicity, and also in terms of care or not? Do you need care, or just the kind of gamut of your ability to kind of hit as many people as you possibly can?
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing this type of universal, really fun universal digital ad. And I think what we've found is what's great about the digital space is being able to test. I think we also find that in the website too, right? In all our chats, right? That ability, when you have that instant ability to test and learn and do different things in different locations, allows you to decide, do you want a more universal ad like this, or do you want to do something very specific with nurses, and just laser focus with a list, and make sure that you're getting your target very precise. So that's what I think is great about digital, is you have that ability to kind of change your audience
Makes
too.
sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Amber, is there anything you want to add there?
Yeah. Just to kind of from an HR side. So, talking about the digital ads and the Let's Swimming and drawing in, and going back to millennials, really, you're like you said, it's flipped. We're really selling ourselves to candidates and making us, how can they see themselves, like, how can we appeal to them? Can they see themselves working with us? And so our marketing team is doing all of this work on the ads and drawing people in and getting them to apply. Really, HR has the responsibility, or I see it as carrying on that culture and selling ourselves into the interview process and beyond. So like here at these job fairs, on the HR side, we're really working to not just show in an ad how can we be different and what can they gain from working with us, but like we're showcasing that in our interview side as well. One thing we do at these job fairs is we play volleyball. Like we're literally going to play volleyball with the candidates for a little bit, and then we'll sit down and we'll talk about what's great to work with Arrow Senior Living. But even in our interview process, we're asking questions that set us apart, as well. We're going to ask questions that pertain to our core values. We're not just going to ask your typical interview questions. And I've gotten a lot of direct feedback from candidates saying how that's how they remembered us, is it's because of the questions we asked. And then they're still beneficial to us. We can still gauge if a candidate's going to be the right fit for us or not. But again, it's another way that we're setting ourselves apart, and how the HR team can really partner with marketing on bringing that messaging that you're trying to convey in your ads into the actual interactions that you're having with applicants.
Really interesting. I vacuum when I'm watching sports games, like when I'm watching the Bruins or Patriots. Like the volleyball idea is a great idea because it allows people to release nervous energy. But when there are like really big games on, I vacuum. Rod's like, get out of the way. She's got the vacuum again. All right, cool. So do you want me to take over now on the speed to lead?
Yes.
Anything else we want to add? Okay, perfect. So just for our viewers, at Waypoint, what we do is we have a navigator that in most cases we've used for prospect engagement, but most recently, probably over the last year, we started working with providers, including Arrow Senior Living, on utilizing the navigator to help with really recruitment on the website. And the whole concept behind it is, think of it as a virtual recruitment assistant. But what we found is that different people, just like when they're looking for senior living, are in different places in their journey. And if you only give them one way to convert in, they may not be there yet. But if you could give them other ways to convert into your candidate pool or your funnel, in ways that you can start to build that, it could be very successful. And actually meeting them where they are versus having to push them down where you want them to go, I think is really key. So we've been testing this with Arrow Senior Living. It's still a little early for our data points, but we're hoping we'll have some more to share on that. But really, again, it's all about meeting the candidates where they are, helping them convert into your candidate pool as fast as possible, and then getting back to them as soon as possible so you can get them into a conversation and capture that potential employee before your competition does. So as part of this navigator, there's a couple things that we do. One is we have a customizable survey that just asks a few questions to find out where that candidate is. What are they thinking about? What role are they thinking about? And then this also gives the HR department just a little bit of screening data that they can use when they have a conversation with the person, and it allows them to really engage in. The second call to action we have is actually giving that candidate the ability to schedule an interview, even if it's just a 15-minute screening interview. So you can see between your application process, if I go back, between going right to the apply now or scheduling an interview or join our team, which is the customizable survey, you're really giving those candidates a variety of ways to engage with you, your brand, your website, your organization, your HR department, right? And then it also gives marketing data that they can look at and see, how are people engaging in. Maybe our application process is too complicated because we were able to see our applicant pool increasing by adding additional tools. So it's really about using innovative tools to just be more quick. Speed to lead is the key. So we do have one case study. We worked with Maplewood from January 1st to December 31st, 2022. And I know Hollie knows Heather really well. And one of the reasons why we're also working together is that they've had quite a bit of success with this. They're simplified it down. They don't go right to the apply process, but they just offered 2 additional CTAs for people to convert in on. And it's been successful for Maplewood in the sense that they also use the customizable survey, the Join Our Team survey, and the schedule and interview CTAs. And you can see here over their 15 sites, the unique clicks. It's really important to understand the total clicks, the unique clicks, how many one individual may have gone back and clicked multiple times. And then also understand the form completion, how it's converting. So these conversion numbers are out of this world. I mean, 41% of people that clicked on the form actually completed the form, and it was submitted as a potential job candidate into the candidate pool. And on the schedule and interview, 54% who clicked on it and started the form finished it and converting in at 54%. So these are really great conversion numbers. And again, it's really about maybe these folks technologically, maybe there was a language barrier. Who knows why they wanted to engage with this tool versus going into the application process. But again, you're meeting them where they are. And then we looked at the total hires. We looked at their list of total hires. They supplied that to us, and we were able to go back and cross-match all of the folks that had taken the survey and who they hired. So of the total hires, 61 of the total hires, 914, actually were hired, used the Join Our Team survey, and then 21 of the hires used the schedule an interview to engage into the candidate pool. There were 8 duplicates, meaning there were 8 people that did both. So you can know they were pretty excited about the potential to work with one of their communities. So on average, taking those duplicates out, there were 74 hires, which was about 9% inquiry to hire. So it's really nice to be able to have these numbers to measure. When I asked Heather, I mean, what do you really think is the high level value proposition here? She literally said, she goes, it's hard. She goes, sometimes it's really hard to track the effectiveness because we were also doing a lot of digital marketing behind it, just like Hollie and Amber have been talking about. But at the end of the day, it was a component of a larger strategy, which allowed them to hire 74 more people. And for her biggest thing was, it's really about meeting people where they are and helping them convert in a way that's easy for them. And she really believes that this was something that helped their folks do it. And then from a return perspective, it's not an expensive tool to use. So the return on the cost per applicant and the cost per hire was really low. So, okay, so now we're going to move it over. So Bobby, it's your turn. of course, we want to engage, we want to communicate our why, we want people to have a good feeling about the company they're coming to work for, we want to convert them into funnel, but at the end of and we want to respond to them quickly, right, and keep them engaged. But at the end of the day, we have to attract in these candidates. So I'd love to turn it over to you, and if you can talk about effective digital marketing strategy and how providers can drive more potential candidates to their website through their ads and other things. I'd love to turn it over to you.
Yeah, well, thanks, Terri. You know, we have really, especially since COVID, for the last 2 or 3 years, we have seen a real surge in the desire for what we call HR recruiting campaigns here at CANOPY. You know, the need for healthcare staff especially is going up. And, you know, being able to reach, you know, getting your message, your community's opportunities in front of the right people at the right time is really what it's all about. You know, one of the fortunate things about this industry is that when you're looking for healthcare professionals specifically, those are licensed professionals generally, and meaning that there is data to be purchased out there, the third-party data world, and home address data, email addresses, things like that, that we can use to really create a targeted audience through location-based marketing. And the primary tactic we use for that is something called geofencing. Probably everyone here has heard about that now here in the senior living industry. It's been around quite a while. It's become really, really popular for senior living marketing generally. And it's great for recruiting. A specific tactic, kind of a sub-tactic within geofencing is something called addressable geofencing, or what we call residential geofencing, where we can purchase or acquire a list of home addresses of healthcare workers, and specific things like RNs, licensed medical professionals of any category, and then load those addresses in your primary market area. We usually define that by an area that is a reasonable driving distance to your community. And then we can geofence those specific homes. It's very much like a digital version of direct mail, if you will. We're focused on specific addresses where those licensed professionals live, and we can capture mobile device IDs from those addresses, and then target ads to mobile device IDs and laptops and tablets and things like that. As well as targeting your traditional display advertising, we can actually use those mobile device IDs that we capture to create social media audiences. So we can load those devices that live at those addresses that we identified through the third-party data that we purchased. We can load those devices into Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and run social media ads on your behalf specifically to those devices. So we can get them in lots of different ways. We do a lot of other kinds of digital tactics as well. Some of the traditional things like pay-per-click advertising, targeting the job posting type sites like Monster, Glassdoor, Indeed, things like that, targeting those directly in a lot less expensive way than having a contract with them specifically. You can get just a lot more bang for your buck by targeting them in kind of the aggregate, if you will, as well. So all of these ways are ways to reach potential employees. We also target your competitors in the area, and so you're probably being targeted to by your competitors, but we can draw geofences on all the other senior living, assisted living, memory care, any kind of health services in the area to let people know. We try to get really creative with that. We look at, especially for healthcare workers, we look at nursing schools and colleges and community colleges. You may have culinary schools in your area that we can geofence to reach people to work in food and beverage departments, and that sort of thing. So there's lots of ways to find audiences of potential candidates to serve them ads. We've talked a little bit earlier about the kind of ads, the creatives, Terri. I'd love to touch on that. One of the things that we found over the last 2 or 3 years is the power of changing up the creatives on a 4 to 5 week basis. If you think about, just like general senior living marketing, we're targeting all the most highly likely individuals in your primary market area who would be a good potential for your community, right? And we're serving them ads over and over and over again over a long period of time, not knowing exactly when they're going to be in market for your community, but we want to be there when they are. And if we keep kind of changing up those creatives, we get that we kind of re-engage their attention over time. Well, that works the exact same way for recruiting as well. We're going to be targeting those community colleges, those culinary schools, those nursing schools, the home addresses of potential recruits in the medical industry, especially in the nurses and healthcare. And we don't know when some life event is going to cause them to be, really looking for a job. Something happens where they currently work, or they're, something happens where they're looking for a better opportunity. And then, we want to make sure that we can kind of keep their attention focused on your brand. Your community is, and that opportunity, it really is a brand, right? And so that brand needs to be compelling, and keep someone's attention and be top of mind when that opportunity arises, that somebody's like, hey, I'm interested in finding something new, and to kind of convince them to come over to you. So changing those creatives up a lot, it's really important, as well as the right tactic.
I love it. I mean, right people, right time, right? Totally makes sense. And then using data, which some people might call creepy data, but at the end of the day, it's just target marketing, right?
That's right.
So you're taking the data that you were able to capture and spending the marketing dollars more efficiently towards attracting the people that you really want, versus doing blanket campaigns, hoping that something's going to stick and maybe spending too much money. Can you talk to the viewers of this webinar when they're thinking about budgets, and Hollie and Amber, feel free to jump in as well, but maybe we can start with Bobby, is, how do you allocate? What's the minimum? How should you think about this? Maybe you could just guide some folks that aren't doing this, that aren't doing this geo-targeting and this marketing and very specific, and help them along.
Yeah. Typically $1 million a month is a great number. So,
no wonder you guys are so successful.
Yeah, exactly. We have no $1 million budgets working here at CANOPY, I promise. So typically, it's really not very expensive. If you think about, one of the great things about targeted digital campaigns, rather than just serving ads to everybody, is that you're really reducing the audience size down to the most likely to be in market, if you will, right? The most likely candidates in your area. We're doing everything that we can here at CANOPY to give you really actually a smaller audience rather than a really large one. And with that smaller audience, once we kind of have it down to the specific people who really would potentially be someone who would, apply for a position, it gives us the opportunity to have a smaller audience and a lot more ad impressions to that audience in a really smaller budget. So you're getting just so much more bang for your buck that way. We run very effective recruiting campaigns for different communities, really based on the size of the audience potential. So, for example, a community in, let's say, I'm trying to think of a good Winston-Salem, North Carolina, is not going to be as large as New York City, right? I mean, there's a huge scale there, right? So depending on that, but I would say that the average senior living recruiting campaign typically has a budget of about $1,500 a month in ad spend across multiple tactics. That's about 4 or 5 different tactics, up to roughly $3,000, $3,300 for a really larger market. So really, I would say I guess the average is probably $2,000 to $2,500 in that range. It's kind of in the middle. We see real effectiveness there. We like to have a budget about that size so that we have enough budget to work with across 3 or 4 different tactics for our communities. We think that it's really valuable to get your ad in front of potential candidates across multiple channels over time. So they're seeing your ad kind of everywhere they look when they're online. All right. That just makes the campaign seem bigger and larger, and quite just more impressive.
I had an old boss who used to say, repetition is the mother of learning. So An old saying, which the more you see
Yeah.
something, the more you do it, it makes sense on the repetitive. Amber or Holly, you want to add anything there?
Well, I definitely think that although it is good to have ongoing campaigns, one of the great things about the digital area is you have that flexibility to potentially test things like for an event where you're testing for a small amount of time. So the commitment is a little bit lower. And also you have an ability to often test in one channel for $100, $200, $300. And so although your whole campaign that you're launching across all those different medians might be larger than that, when you're just trying it and just getting into it, you have that flexibility, which is what is great about the digital kind of channel versus, if you're printing something and you mail it, there's no go backs or,
Yeah, I think that's
you're kind of committed. So that's what I think is fun about digital, is that ability to, test and learn and try things.
Well, and I think we've
that's a
tried
really
too
good.
with digital. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Bobby.
I was just gonna say that I think that's a really great point. And one of the things that we can do, which is great, is we would recommend is there really ever a time where you're not taking candidates, right? Having kind of an always on strategy. And that could be very minimal, really, quite frankly, each month. Just having your message out there for potential candidates to come along. And then as needs arise, you have a campaign in place that's running that can be boosted. Or you can kind of surge the budget for a month or two, or reduce it when seasonally you don't need as many people. So the flexibility, to Hollie's point, is really important, I think.
Yeah. And then I was just going to say too, I think we've tried ads too, that's kind of captured both audiences. So like we've been able to capture residents and employees through some digital ads that we've done before. And then also for us, for Arrow, we have locations fairly close to each other in our market. So we'll have candidates come through that might come through. Like, so for this event that I'm at now, that we've gotten these applicants from a digital ad, we don't hire them at St. Charles. We might consider them for our other location down the street or for Kings and Walk. And so when you start involving more than one community into one ad, you could spread the budget a little bit among more than one location. So
for sure.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense. Awesome. So I don't know if anybody has anything else to add, but I can wrap it up. I think we're coming up to about 45 minutes. So anybody else want to add anything before we jump into the key takeaways? No? Okay, awesome. So the key takeaways today are really HR and marketing need to work together to really deploy great strategies. And you heard some really great things today. And clearly Hollie, Amber, and even Bobby, as they're consulting outside, they're part of the team. It's part of the team in achieving what you need to do. So building a digital marketing strategy that's based on data, like Hollie said, I mean, you can adjust, you can change, you can do things, and having that data and understanding the impact of it is really key. And overall, it's really not very different from capturing prospects, right? You're selling them on your why, the lifestyle. It's a lifestyle even for a potential candidate to come and spend 40 hours plus a week with you, right? So it is their life. Conveying your why and all of that, they're very much the same. As well as speed to lead, you need to respond to folks that apply. Do you know how easy your application process is? It's really important. And then leveraging tools like our tool at Waypoint. There are other tools out there as well. How do you help get a diverse group of people that could be anywhere in their search process or in different and meeting them where they are and helping them convert into your pool? So those are some of the things that we wanted to deliver today. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, specific questions, feel free to send it to support@waypointconverts.com and we'll direct the inquiry to the right person. Or you could also go to the websites or connect with any of us on LinkedIn as well. But we're super grateful that you joined us today and we hope you got something out of it. And this has been fantastic. Thank you all for joining and contributing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.